Romans 1:19-20. For what can be known about God is plain to them, because God has shown it to them. For his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world, in the things that have been made, so they are without excuse.
Thou Art is written by young Swedish pastor, Christian newspaper editor, and 12-year Swedish parliament member Carl Gustaf Boger. He was born born into a modest family. His father was a carpenter. In the summer of 1880, when Goberi was 21 years old, he witnessed an unforgettable scene on a walk home from church. On the 2-mile-long path, he watched as dark clouds gathered on the horizon. Within minutes, a raging thunderstorm was in full force. And then, just as quickly as the storm had appeared, the entire scene calmed. The clouds parted, revealing the sun in all its glory. The nearby birds began to chirp a cheerful tune. Goberi began to worship the Lord right then and there. When he reached his home, he opened a window towards Mentras Bay. The sound of church bells floated over the water. As he listened, the words of a poem that would later become one of the most famous hymns in the world began to form in his heart. That night, he wrote a 9-verse poem named Ostare Gu, also known as O Great God. On the 13th of March, 1886, the poem was published in the Mentras News. It soon became widespread, and through God's grace, the poem was matched to a Swedish folk tune and performed. 40 years later, an English Methodist missionary named Stuart Heine was sent to minister in Ukraine. While within the Carpathian mountain range of Russia, he, along with his wife Edith, heard the Russian translation of O Great God being sung. Later, on the day in 1948, he was preaching in a refugee camp filled with hundreds of Russian refugees fleeing from the violence of World War II. These refugees, situated deep within Ukraine, missed their homeland greatly. Touched by the sorrow of those before him, Heine later added a 3rd verse to the song, describing the hope and joy of all Christians when the Lord would return to earth. The 3 verses together describe God's creation, his salvation, and our hope for his return. In 1957, during Billy Graham's 16-week New York crusade, George Beverly Shea, co-worker to Billy Graham and one of the most famous gospel singers in the world, sang the song. Now newly named How Great Thou Art, the song was sung exactly 99 times in that single crusade. Billy Graham himself has said, "The reason I like How Great Thou Art is because it glorifies God. It turns Christians' eyes towards God rather upon themselves. I use it as often as possible because it is such a God-honoring song."
Please be seated.
Psalms 139. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You stretch out my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it altogether. You hem me in, behind and before, and lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, I cannot attain it. Where shall I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me.
that the first section, it talks about a pure heart. We humble